There are slot machines on the casino floor right now that are mathematically primed to pay out, and if you know the visual signs to look for, you can identify them before you risk a single dollar. I spent 14 years as a casino floor manager at properties in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and Native American casinos across 3 states. My responsibilities included monitoring machine performance data, analyzing payout patterns, optimizing floor placement strategies, and training supervisors on player behavior management. I knew exactly which machines were approaching their payout cycles. I knew where we positioned our loosest games and where we buried our tightest ones. And I knew the specific visual indicators that separated machines ready to pay from machines ready to take. Every single day, I watched players make costly decisions based on superstition, emotion, and misinformation. They'd sit at terrible machines positioned specifically to extract maximum money. They'd chase non-existent patterns. They'd walk past obvious opportunities without recognizing them. You've always suspected there are observable signs that indicate better machines, that certain locations on the floor are strategically superior, that some versions of popular games offer better odds than others. You're absolutely correct. And the patterns are hiding in plain sight once you know what to look for. Before I reveal these 8 secrets, I need 3 things from you immediately. First, hit that like button right now. Second, subscribe and activate notifications because casinos don't want this information public. Third, comment below with your favorite slot machine. Buffalo? Lightning Link? Wheel of Fortune? I want to know what you're playing and where. These 8 secrets will show you how to spot slot machines that actually pay out. Not guessing, not hoping. Observable visual indicators based on how casinos actually operate behind the scenes. Let's start by destroying the most expensive myth in gambling. Secret number 1. Slot machines don't run hot or cold, and believing they do will cost you more money than any other single misconception. This myth destroys more bankrolls than anything else in the casino, so I need to eliminate it with pure mathematical facts immediately. Every modern slot machine operates using a random number generator, an RNG. This is a specialized computer chip that generates billions of random number sequences every single second, continuously 24 hours per day, whether the machine is being played or sitting idle. Here's the critical truth. Every spin is mathematically independent from every other spin that has ever occurred on that machine. The RNG has no memory whatsoever. It doesn't know the machine just paid a $3,000 jackpot. It doesn't know the machine hasn't triggered a bonus in 4 hours. It doesn't track how much money you've inserted. Every single time you press that button, you're engaging a completely fresh random event with identical probability to every spin before it. When players say, "This machine is hot, it's been paying consistently," or "This machine is ice cold and due to hit," they're projecting human patterns onto pure mathematics that doesn't recognize or respond to patterns. The RNG executes algorithms. It doesn't experience temperature. It doesn't accumulate debt. It doesn't become due. This misconception causes devastating financial losses because players pour money into machines waiting for corrections that mathematically cannot exist. They think, "I've invested $800, so logically it must pay soon." The machine doesn't know about your $800. Spin number 200 has the exact same probability as spin number 1. Let me tell you about a player I'll call Kenneth. Kenneth was a regular who genuinely believed he could identify machines that were warming up. He'd developed this elaborate system where he'd observe machines for 30 minutes, and if a machine hadn't paid a significant bonus during his observation period, he'd target it as overdue. One Friday evening, I watched Kenneth on surveillance identify a Dragon Link machine that had been relatively quiet for approximately 90 minutes. Kenneth was convinced this was mathematical destiny. He sat down at that machine and proceeded to feed it for the next 5 hours straight. I watched him deposit over $8,300 in cash. Around midnight, the hold and spin feature finally triggered. Kenneth won $1,900. He celebrated loudly, collected high fives from nearby players, and left the casino feeling like a mathematical genius who'd cracked the system. The actual mathematics told a brutal story. Kenneth deposited $8,300 and recovered $1,900. He lost $6,400 chasing a myth that doesn't exist in probability theory. The RNG didn't reward Kenneth's patience or observation. It simply continued executing its programmed algorithm, completely indifferent to Kenneth's theories, time investment, or emotional state. Machines don't get hot. They don't turn cold. They don't become dew. Every spin is an independent random event with identical probability. Internalizing this single fact will save you thousands of dollars and prevent Kenneth's catastrophic error. Now that you understand every spin is independent, let's discuss the factors that genuinely matter when spotting machines that pay out: RTP and strategic floor positioning. Secret number 2. Higher denomination machines offer substantially better RTP, and this represents genuine mathematical advantage, not casino generosity. RTP means return to player. It's the percentage of all money wagered that a machine is programmed to return over its operational lifetime. A machine programmed at 94% RTP will return $94 for every $100 wagered over millions of spins. The remaining $6 represents the house edge, the casino's guaranteed mathematical profit. Here's the pattern that holds true approximately 88% to 92% of the time across the industry. Denomination directly correlates with RTP. Penny slots, 84% to 88% RTP average. Nickel slots, 87% to 90%. Quarter slots, 90% to 93%. Dollar slots, 92% to 95%. $5 slots and higher, 94% to 97% or better. Why does this dramatic difference exist? Because casinos generate more gross profit per spin on higher denominations, allowing them to offer better player returns while maintaining identical or superior profit margins per square foot of casino floor space. Consider the mathematics. A penny machine might require 3,000 spins to generate $150 in casino profit. A $5 machine generates that same $150 in 30 spins. The casino achieves its revenue targets either way, but the $5 player receives dramatically superior mathematical treatment. Let me illustrate this in actual dollars. You enter a casino with $500. On a penny slot programmed at 86% RTP, you're losing approximately $14 for every $100 cycled through the machine. On a dollar slot at 94% RTP, you're losing approximately $6 per $100 cycled. That's more than double the loss rate on penny machines. Over a 4-hour session, that difference represents $70 to $100 that stays in your pocket instead of transferring to casino revenue. Critical warning: you absolutely must have adequate bankroll to support higher denominations. If you only have $150 and you play a $5 machine betting $8 per spin, you get approximately 18 spins maximum. That's not a gambling session, that's a lottery ticket with terrible odds. You need minimum 150 to 200 spins to allow variance time to fluctuate and bonus features time to trigger. For most recreational players, the optimal balance is quarters to dollars. With $300, play 50 cents to $1 per spin. With $600, play $1 to $2 per spin. You achieve substantially better RTP than penny players while maintaining sufficient spin count for realistic bonus opportunities. Secret number 3. Machine placement represents psychological warfare backed by sophisticated data analytics, and casinos invest heavily in strategic positioning. This was among my primary management responsibilities. We conducted monthly meetings, analyzing heat maps, traffic flow patterns, player density data, and revenue per square foot to optimize machine placement for maximum casino profitability. You've probably heard the outdated myth that casinos place loosest slots near entrances to attract players with winning sounds. That contained some truth in the 1980s and early 1990s. Modern casino strategy has completely inverted this approach. Contemporary casino methodology places the tightest machines in high-traffic convenience locations, primary entrances, exits, cashier cages, restroom corridors, and main walkways. The RTP in these zones is typically 3% to 6% lower than identical games elsewhere on the floor. Why this counterintuitive strategy? Because players in convenience locations aren't evaluating options or comparison shopping. They're waiting for companions. They're killing time before reservations. They're playing just one more while cashing out. We called these impulse locations, and we knew players would engage regardless of payout quality. So we installed the tightest RTP versions of popular games specifically in these zones to maximize profit extraction with zero customer resistance. The loosest machines, offering genuinely superior RTP, are strategically positioned at showcase crossroads, high-visibility intersections where maximum foot traffic can witness significant wins, center of primary slot floor sections, entrances to high-limit areas, connecting pathways between poker rooms and sports books, near but not inside restaurant entrances. When players hit substantial wins at showcase crossroads, dozens or hundreds of people witness it directly. They hear the celebratory audio. They see the screen animations. They observe someone winning meaningfully. This drives surrounding play dramatically. We weren't being charitable with those loose machines. We were advertising. Those machines functioned as loss leaders, generating traffic to 40 or 50 tighter machines surrounding them. I specifically remember a second-quarter planning meeting where our director of slot operations presented analytics showing that relocating 6 of our highest RTP Buffalo Grand machines to more prominent crossroads positions had increased overall slot floor revenue in that zone by 19% within 4 weeks. Those 6 loose machines became marketing investments, generating massive returns from adjacent, tighter inventory. Another common tactical maneuver: when a machine in a premium showcase location began paying significantly above its programmed rate, perhaps a lightning link that triggered 5 major bonuses in 48 hours, we'd flag it in our performance tracking system. During overnight maintenance shifts, typically between 2 and 4:30 a.m., so technicians would physically relocate that specific machine to a secondary lower-traffic location. We weren't modifying any settings, which requires extensive regulatory processes. We were simply reducing visibility. That hot lightning link that occupied prime center floor real estate would suddenly appear in a back corner near service corridors. Identical RTP, identical programming, but now concealed where significantly fewer players would discover it. I knew an advantage player named Victor, who maintained detailed floor maps and tracked machine locations obsessively. When Victor noticed a specific hot machine had been relocated overnight, he'd systematically search the floor until he found its new position. I personally documented Victor extracting over $6,200 across 6 weeks, simply by understanding that floor relocations signaled performance anomalies, not random maintenance logistics. Your actionable strategy: completely eliminate convenience locations from consideration. Never play machines near entrances, exits, cages, or restrooms under any circumstances. Systematically scout the complete floor. Target machines at major crossroads with high visibility, secondary moderate traffic areas away from main flow, and positions near but outside high-limit room entrances. The absolute best-paying machine on the entire floor might be positioned exactly where we relocated it, specifically to reduce player discovery. Now we enter psychological manipulation territory. These are engineered behavioral tactics designed to keep you playing far beyond rational financial limits. Secret number 4. Near misses are deliberately programmed psychological weapons, and they provide zero predictive information about future outcomes. You've experienced this repeatedly. Jackpot symbols land immediately above or below the active pay line, or bonus trigger symbols appear on 2 of 3 reels, but miss the third by 1 position. These almost wins that aren't wins whatsoever. Here's absolute truth. Near misses are intentionally programmed into slot machine software. They aren't accidents. They aren't random occurrences. They're sophisticated psychological manipulation tools engineered specifically based on behavioral psychology research to keep you gambling longer. Modern slot machines don't use physical reels to determine actual outcomes. They use an RNG that selects the final result instantaneously when you initiate the spin. The visible reels then spin purely for entertainment value, displaying that predetermined result. Everything you observe visually is theatrical presentation. But game manufacturers deliberately design the reel mapping, the specific positioning and distribution of symbols across each reel, to generate near misses at frequencies optimized for maximum player retention. They intentionally place jackpot symbols immediately adjacent to payline positions far more frequently than pure mathematical probability would naturally produce. Why? Because extensive neuroscience research demonstrates that human brains process near misses almost identically to actual wins. You think, I nearly hit it. I was 1 position away. Just 1 more spin. This triggers dopamine release, the identical pleasure neurotransmitter associated with genuine victories. You experience physiological excitement despite having just lost money. Gaming regulatory bodies actually investigated near-miss programming throughout the 1980s after complaints from gambling addiction treatment professionals. Some regulators found it so psychologically manipulative, they proposed complete prohibition. But casino industry lobbying prevented that outcome. The compromise required that near misses couldn't occur more frequently than the game's underlying mathematical model would naturally allow. That sounds protective, but means essentially nothing. Manufacturers simply design reel maps where near misses are mathematically frequent within permitted parameters. It's entirely legal, universally implemented, and costing you extraordinary amounts of money by extending your play sessions beyond rational decision-making. Here's truth that casino floor staff are trained never to articulate to players. Every spin is completely independent. Near misses provide 0 information about subsequent spins. The machine isn't warming up. You aren't getting close. You aren't due to hit. The RNG doesn't track or respond to what displayed visually. That jackpot symbol that just missed could miss continuously for 50,000 consecutive spins. When you observe near-miss clustering, immediately recognize it as engineered manipulation, not as signals predicting imminent payouts. Secret number 5. Losses disguised as wins systematically confuse your perception of actual financial performance. This represents perhaps the most psychologically insidious practice in contemporary slot design, openly discussed in gaming industry publications using the acronym LDW, losses disguised as wins. Here's the operational mechanism. You wager $1 on a spin. Reels stop. Dramatic lighting effects activate. Upbeat celebration music plays. Elaborate animations fill the entire screen. Digital currency cascades across the display. You experience the complete physiological sensation of winning. You check your credit display. You won 65 cents. You wagered $1 and received 65 cents. You just lost 35 cents. But the machine celebrated as though you hit a progressive jackpot. Peer-reviewed academic studies analyzing contemporary multi-line slot machines have documented that LDWs occur on 32% to 47% of all spins. Nearly half the time, you're experiencing net financial losses, while the machine systematically manipulates your brain into perceiving success. Why do casinos implement this tactic? Because rigorous behavioral psychology research proves it works with devastating effectiveness. Human brains release dopamine in response to celebration signals. Lights, sounds, animations, tactile feedback, not in response to actual mathematical outcomes. The sensory celebration triggers identical neurological pleasure responses as genuine wins even when you're losing money. This dramatically extends average session duration. It creates profound confusion about actual financial position, and it generates false perception of success completely disconnected from mathematical reality. In monthly management review sessions, we analyzed comprehensive data demonstrating that LDW implementation increased average player session time by 33% to 44%. That translates directly to 33% to 44% additional money extracted from each player. This wasn't accidental feature creep. This was deliberate behavioral engineering refined through decades of psychological research and extensive A/B testing protocols. Let me tell you about a player I monitored on a Wheel of Fortune machine for nearly 6 hours one Saturday. She celebrated continuously throughout her entire session, cheering, applauding, performing little victory dances in her seat. Other players walking past assumed she was experiencing extraordinary luck and considered playing nearby machines, hoping the hot zone would extend to them. I had real-time access to her precise machine performance data. Over 6 hours, she inserted $640 in cash. The machine returned $430 in payouts. She experienced a net loss of $210. But because of relentless LDW celebrations, the machine generating elaborate audio-visual celebrations for wins as small as 25 cents on dollar bets, she genuinely believed she was having a phenomenally successful session. When she finally cashed out, she told the cashier enthusiastically that it had been the best night ever. She possessed zero awareness that she'd just paid $210 for 6 hours of entertainment disguised as winning. The solution demands absolute discipline. Completely ignore every machine celebration without exception. Track exclusively your actual credit balance. Set smartphone timers for every 15 minutes. When the alarm activates, document your exact credit amount. If you're below your starting balance, you're losing, period. Regardless of how many celebrations the machine performed, or how much digital confetti appeared on screen. Secret number 6. Casino comps are calculated exclusively on your theoretical loss and algorithmically timed to prevent departure when you should leave. Let me explain how player tracking technology actually functions, because this represents information we were specifically trained to deflect detailed inquiries about. When you insert your player's card, the casino's integrated tracking system initiates comprehensive data collection. Average wager per spin, spins per hour, total session duration, game selection preferences, volatility tolerance, complete coin-in totals, money wagered, not won or lost, and most critically, real-time calculation of your theo. Theo represents theoretical loss. It's sophisticated mathematical modeling predicting precisely how much money the casino expects you to lose based on your specific behavioral patterns combined with that specific machine's programmed RTP. Example, you're wagering $250 per spin on a machine programmed at 92% RTP, averaging 500 spins hourly. The system calculates you're theoretically losing $100 per hour. That's your theo. Casino comps, complimentary meals, hotel accommodations, show tickets, free play credits, are calculated as fixed percentages of your theo, typically ranging 20% to 35% depending on player tier status. Not based on actual losses incurred. Not based on casino appreciation or loyalty rewards, based purely on expected theoretical losses. But here's where manipulation becomes truly sophisticated. The tracking system monitors specific behavioral patterns statistically correlated with imminent departure, decreasing play velocity, reducing average wager amounts, extended pauses between spins, frequent glances toward exits, checking mobile devices, standing briefly, then reseating. When these behavioral indicators exceed algorithmic thresholds, the system automatically generates targeted comp offers specifically calculated to extend your session. This occurs without any human decision-making intervention. You've been playing 3 hours. You're down $350. You're genuinely fatigued, frustrated, and seriously considering cashing out and departing. Precisely at that psychological moment, a floor attendant appears with a voucher for complimentary premium buffet dinner. Or your card reader suddenly displays, "Congratulations! You've earned $80 free play. Redeem immediately at any slot machine." This isn't fortunate timing. This isn't coincidental generosity. This is algorithmic behavioral intervention, timed to the minute, based on predictive analytics. And here's the casino's underlying calculation. Statistical modeling demonstrates that providing you a $40 buffet comp has 76% probability of extending your gambling session minimum 90 additional minutes, during which you'll theoretically lose another $220. That represents 450% return on comp investment. In quarterly executive reviews, we analyzed granular comp effectiveness metrics. Free play credits were most effective retention tools because they literally forced players to return to machines and continue gambling. Hotel room comps ranked second because they kept players on property overnight, creating multiple additional gambling sessions across extended timeframes. Let me tell you about a consistent player named Patrick. Patrick played dollar denomination slots regularly. One Wednesday evening, Patrick was down approximately $500 across 4 hours and displaying obvious frustration signals. Heavy sighing, head shaking, progressively slower play rate. Our system triggered automatic intervention. Complimentary dinner for 2 at our signature steakhouse, valued at $135. Patrick accepted gratefully. He and his wife enjoyed a 90-minute dinner, relaxed meaningfully, and Patrick's emotional state visibly improved. Following dinner, Patrick returned to the slot floor just to play a bit more after that wonderful meal. Across the subsequent 2 hours, 40 minutes, Patrick lost an additional $620. The casino invested $135 in food cost and extracted $620 in incremental losses. Patrick departed believing the casino had treated him exceptionally generously with outstanding hospitality. The mathematically correct response when receiving any comp offer: immediately cash out and either exit the property completely or take mandatory break minimum 2 hours. That comp isn't a reward or appreciation. It's a retention mechanism calculated to extract additional money from you. Now that you understand the psychological manipulation infrastructure, let's discuss the only 2 strategies providing genuine protection: bankroll management and exit discipline. Secret number 7. Bankroll management using the 1% rule represents your only mathematical defense against inevitable casino advantage. The overwhelming majority of players enter casinos with absolutely zero financial strategy or planning. They bring whatever discretionary funds they can afford to risk and play continuously until complete depletion or until hitting something substantial. This approach optimizes casino profitability and guarantees player financial damage. If you're going to gamble, and I'm explicitly not recommending you do, you must follow this rule with religious adherence. Never wager more than 1% of your total available bankroll on any individual spin. If you bring $700, your absolute maximum wager per spin is $7. Not 8, not 10, 7. This rule exists specifically to protect you from variance, the inherent statistical fluctuations present in all probability-based activities. Slot machines exhibit extreme volatility. You can easily experience 60 to 80 consecutive losing spins without any meaningful returns. If you're wagering 5% or 8% of your bankroll per spin, perfectly normal variance streaks will completely annihilate you financially. You'll possess no recovery buffer whatsoever. But wagering 1% provides you 100 spins of cushion before theoretical complete loss. That buffer creates adequate opportunity for bonus features to trigger or winning sequences to develop that can recover earlier losses. Additionally, you must establish two absolutely non-negotiable limits before initiating play: a loss limit and a win limit. Your loss limit defines the maximum amount you'll lose in any single session, perhaps 25% or 30% of total bankroll. When you've lost that predetermined amount, you immediately stand and exit. Zero exceptions, zero rationalizations. No, just one final spin. You depart the machine and leave the casino property. Your win limit proves psychologically more challenging but equally essential. If you predetermine that winning 35% of your bankroll triggers mandatory exit, then when you achieve that threshold, you cash out immediately and leave. Most players utterly fail at win limit enforcement. They win, experience euphoria, and rationalize, "I'm obviously running hot. The machine is clearly paying. I should definitely continue playing." They proceed until they've systematically returned every dollar to casino revenue, plus their original bankroll. I witnessed this exact pattern thousands of times during my tenure. Let me tell you about a player named Christine. Christine arrived with $800 and established intelligent limits before playing. She'd exit if she lost $250 or won $300. Sophisticated plan, demonstrating genuine understanding of probability management. Christine began playing Buffalo Gold. Within 75 minutes, she was ahead $330. She had clearly exceeded her predetermined win limit by $30. The mathematically optimal decision was immediate cash out and departure. Instead, she rationalized, "The machine is obviously in a hot cycle. I'm triggering bonuses consistently. I should absolutely keep playing while this positive variance continues." 3 hours later, I watched Christine lose her complete $800, plus an additional $450 she withdrew from the casino ATM. Total loss: $450 from her original position, or $750 from her peak, all because she completely failed to enforce her own predetermined limit at the critical decision point. The limit itself wasn't problematic. Her absolute absence of discipline to enforce that limit represented everything. This pattern repeats endlessly across millions of players. They establish intelligent limits, but catastrophically fail to respect them when enforcement actually matters. The limit becomes worthless without enforcement discipline. Secret number 8. The hit-and-run strategy represents your only realistic probability of departing ahead, and time represents your greatest enemy. Here's the most brutal mathematical truth about casino gambling. The longer you remain on the property, the more mathematically certain it becomes that you'll lose everything. This isn't pessimism. This isn't negativity. This is irrefutable probability mathematics. The RTP is always below 100%, meaning house advantage is always present. Variance inevitably normalizes toward expected value. Statistical regression to the mean is mathematically guaranteed. The house edge systematically grinds down your bankroll. Given sufficient time, the casino always wins. Always. The only strategy with realistic success probability is hit-and-run methodology. Enter with a specific predetermined plan, play for a strictly limited time duration, and immediately depart when you reach either your win limit or loss limit, whichever occurs first. Zero exceptions under any circumstances. The tiny minority of players I observed who consistently departed ahead across multiple sessions shared one critical characteristic: absolute time discipline. They played 60 to 90 minutes maximum, then departed regardless of whether they were winning or losing in that specific session. Why? Because they understood profoundly that every additional minute on the casino floor represents another minute of exposure to mathematical house advantage. They respected variance. They understood that favorable variance streaks can evaporate within minutes. The casino, conversely, desperately wants you remaining as long as physically possible. Every hour you stay exponentially increases probability that you'll surrender everything. That's precisely why casinos eliminate windows, remove all visible clocks, provide complimentary alcohol, and engineer comfortable temperature-controlled environments. They want you completely losing time awareness. They want you entering dissociative trance states, playing mechanically for extended hours. I once knew a professional advantage player, exceptionally rare individuals, named Douglas. Douglas didn't play slots for entertainment or emotional excitement. He played with pure mathematical intention, backed by absolute iron discipline. Douglas maintained an absolutely rigid system. Enter casino property. Proceed directly to pre-identified high-denomination machines with verified favorable RTP based on prior research. Play exactly 500 spins regardless of outcomes. Depart immediately after completing spin 500. If he tripled his bankroll in 250 spins, he completed all 500 spins, then departed. If he lost 70% of his bankroll in 400 spins, he completed all 500 spins, then departed. Zero emotional response. Zero deviation. Absolute mechanical discipline. Over 23 months, Douglas maintained approximately 4% advantage over his total investment. Not dramatically profitable, but genuinely ahead, which is virtually unprecedented for slot players over extended time frames. How? Absolute time discipline combined with selective machine targeting and superior RTP selection. Douglas never remained longer than 110 minutes on any casino property. Never. He understood profoundly that time represented the genuine enemy, not probability variance. Most players don't possess even 3% of Douglas's discipline. They enter casinos just to have fun, and depart 7 hours later emotionally exhausted, financially devastated, and genuinely confused about what occurred. If you're going to play slots, set a smartphone alarm for 75 minutes. When that alarm activates, you complete your current spin, cash out immediately, and walk directly to your vehicle. It's completely irrelevant whether you're winning. It's irrelevant whether you're losing. You depart. Because the only genuine victory in casino gambling is departing before mathematics inevitably catches up. And mathematics always catches up. Always. Let's recap the 8 secrets showing you how to spot slot machines that pay out. 1. Machines don't run hot or cold. Every spin is mathematically independent. Chasing non-existent patterns costs thousands. The RNG possesses no memory. 2. Higher denomination machines offer substantially better RTP. Dollars dramatically exceed pennies mathematically. Play the highest denomination your bankroll adequately supports. 3. Machine location represents psychological warfare. Eliminate convenience locations entirely. Target showcase crossroads and secondary moderate traffic positions. 4. Near misses are programmed manipulation providing zero predictive value. Recognize them immediately as psychological retention tools. 5. Losses disguised as wins systematically confuse actual financial performance. Ignore all celebrations. Track exclusively actual credit balance. 6. Comps are timed retention tools calculated on theoretical loss. When receiving comps, immediately cash out. They're manipulation mechanisms, not rewards. 7. Bankroll management using 1% rule protects against variance. Establish loss and win limits. Enforce them without exception or rationalization. 8. Hit and run represents your only realistic winning methodology. Time is your enemy. Set strict time limits and depart when they expire regardless of results. Here's ultimate truth rarely articulated honestly. You cannot beat slot machines long-term. House edge is real, permanent, and mathematically guaranteed. Given sufficient time, you will lose. But within that harsh mathematical reality, Dramatically smarter approaches exist versus catastrophically stupid approaches. These 8 secrets position you on the intelligent side of that critical divide. They don't guarantee winning. Nothing can. But they provide absolute best probability of identifying favorable machines, avoiding worst psychological traps, and departing with something remaining instead of complete devastation. Knowledge genuinely represents your only edge in casinos. Casinos profit enormously from information asymmetry. They possess complete knowledge about their machines, mathematics, and psychological tactics. You possess virtually nothing. These 8 secrets substantially balance that information gap in your favor. If you found this valuable, I need 3 immediate actions. First, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll continue exposing casino industry secrets operators wish remained hidden. They'll pressure platforms to remove this content, so subscribe now. Second, share this video. Send it to anyone who plays slots. Post in gambling communities. Share on social platforms. More players understanding these secrets reduces manipulation effectiveness. Third, watch this video here where I reveal the 5 slot machine manufacturers building the loosest games and which casino properties actually install those favorable versions. Before closing, the mandatory critical legal disclaimer. If you or someone you know struggles with gambling addiction, seek professional help immediately. Contact the National Council on Problem Gambling at 1-800-522-4700. Available 24 hours daily. This video is purely educational. I'm not encouraging gambling. I'm educating existing gamblers about industry operations and damage minimization. Slots should be treated as entertainment expense, never as income opportunity. The house always maintains mathematical advantage. You're paying for entertainment. If you expect to profit, you fundamentally misunderstand probability. You're not investing. You're purchasing entertainment that costs money. But with these 8 secrets, you can substantially minimize that cost, identify least terrible options, avoid worst manipulation, and occasionally, not reliably, but occasionally, depart ahead. The 8 secrets are yours. Use them intelligently. Scout before playing. Verify denominations and locations. Recognize psychological manipulation. Establish limits and enforce them with discipline. Use strict time limits. The casino is mathematically designed to win. But now, you possess information they'd prefer you didn't have. Play smart, maintain discipline, and remember, knowledge is your only edge, and time is your greatest enemy.